Hello and welcome back to Sports Cubed. I'm Zach Reynolds with Austin Harrelson and Tice Gordon. And this week, what else could we talk about but NFL free agency? It's only been a day or two now, but a lot has been going on. I have some very personal thoughts to get out of the way later on, but we'll start with kind of some recapping. Really, one of the first moves of the offseason was the Saints signing Derek Carr. Tice, you're a Saints fan.
Yeah, we signed him for a 4-year, $150 million, and I mean a lot of people are gonna give me give hate to the Saints for signing Derek Carr, but I mean you have to realize the organization he was in. I mean he's in the Raiders. The Raiders continue to not do anything ever, so I'm gonna ride with Derek Carr. He has a lot of options, a lot more options, a lot better defense. He has a whole coaching better. Everything is better in New Orleans than it is in Oakland, and I will say it here. And I mean, he has Michael Thomas coming back. We've been on the phone with him. He actually came out and said that he won't get off the phone with him at all. So I mean, he's excited to play with him. He's got Chris Olave. He's got Alvin Kamara. I mean, and Jawan Johnson. We just recently signed him and Michael Thomas back. Jawan has a lot of talent to prove to a lot of people, I think, so I'm excited.
Well, here's the thing, is I will not hate on the Saints signing Derek Carr, and those things are all true. What I will hate on is signing Derek Carr, 4 years, $150 million. He just hasn't played good enough to earn a 4-year contract.
It's a lot of money, It's a lot of money. I will agree, which we've done a lot of work this offseason. We got off the start as fast as we could, cutting people's contracts, getting under the salary cap, which we finally did. Somehow we managed to do that. I don't know how, but we found a way and we did it. We cut Kamara's, a bunch of other guys' contracts down just a little bit. But other than that, yeah, no. I mean, we're going to have a strong shot at the
division.
NFC South for sure. I mean, it's looking pretty good right now.
The rest of the teams.
Unfortunately, Derek Carr might be the best quarterback in that division.
He is.
And that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot.
I like Derek Carr. He's underrated, but he's not.
He's always been a good quarterback.
You like having an underrated quarterback on your team, honestly.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Then Javon Hargrave, he moved on. He's going to the 49ers as if they needed more defense up front. They continue to get rich up there. Deron Payne re-signed, another great defensive tackle. Good defensive tackle class, or just interior defensive lineman free agency class this year. Marcus Davenport went to the Vikings on a 1-year deal, so that's the same player gone.
Yeah, we gave him away, and we just signed Kalen Saunders from the Chiefs on a 3-year, maybe, I forget how much it was, about 15 mil, maybe something like that, as of right now.
And scroll down. Austin, a Bears fan. Well, first we can talk about the trade before we get into a couple free agent signings.
I think you meant the absolute fleece of a deal. I mean, so much value given up for the first overall pick. I mean, we don't really see the first overall pick traded too often. I think the last time we saw it was when the Titans had the first overall pick in like 2015, maybe 2016, somewhere around there. And I'm just happy, man. I mean, come on, you get a wide receiver 1, you get the 9th overall pick, you get an extra first and then 2 seconds on top of it. You get a lot of draft capital. And I think the pick 9 suits the Bears more because at that point, because I think the Cardinals trade back. I think a team like the Raiders trades up, get themselves a QB. I think all 4 QBs are off the board within the first 6 picks. And then Will Anderson's going to be off the board. And then you're stuck with 2 tackle prospects and then obviously Jalen Carter. But we need to see legal-wise where Jalen Carter's at when it comes to the draft. But I think it's a good move for Chicago. I think it's a questionable move for Carolina.
Certainly.
I think because there are rumors they're trading up for Anthony Richardson. We've spoken about it. I think he was going to be there at 9.
Yeah.
Because I don't think
he's so hard to pass up, especially after
exactly,
that
and that's what's tough is because he's so athletically gifted, and it's tough to pass on a guy like that. And he's got a cannon for an arm, so it's hard to pass on guys like that. But
Yeah, even if they needed to trade up from 9, they didn't need to trade up to 1.
Exactly.
For Anthony Richardson.
But then you're also giving up a wide receiver 1.
Well,
who's the guy you just extended.
Well, I mean, their relationship, DJ Moore and the Panthers' relationship was no secret, not amazing last year, so that might have been part of it. But
I mean, for Chicago though, what this means for Chicago is huge. You get your wide receiver 1, you give Justin Fields more draft capital. Not just Justin Fields, the Chicago Bears in general, but you give Justin Fields, DJ Moore. This team has improved even throughout the offseason, which we'll get to. And I think this team, the Bears specifically, went into this offseason with a plan, and I think they've executed it very well so far.
Yeah, well, I like the Khalil Herbert RB1. I think that'll.
Yeah, with Monty leaving to Detroit.
I think Monty leaving, I think it'll just, I don't know, I feel like everything will flow or easier, better, I don't know, I like the way the Bears are going, for sure.
Absolutely, and I mean, if we look at this, I mean, you signed Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, it's interesting because, yes, we did let Roquan walk. We traded him because he was obviously upset with the organization, regardless of if it was
he because they wouldn't sign him,
or if we weren't willing to give him money.
You weren't willing to give him the money, but you signed Tremaine Edmonds, who is really good.
But
you could have had Roquan and still got T.J. Edwards.
Roquan was asking for north of $20 million a year.
He is worth more than Tremaine Edmonds.
Which I do agree, but Tremaine Edmonds is getting less money. Tremaine Edmonds is younger. Tremaine Edmonds is more athletically gifted. He's bigger.
People forget how athletic Roquan is.
Trust me, I know that Roquan is very, very skilled linebacker. But at this point, I think it's just preference. I think it's just Matt Eberflus wants a certain kinds of linebackers. We've seen it. We saw him trade away Roquan, which Roquan wasn't old in any way. I mean, you just hitting his prime. It was just not the linebacker that they wanted to build around. And I mean, Roquan, if they're not going to pay him, he wanted out regardless. So I personally like the signing. I like Tremaine Edmonds as a player.
Well, I'm not saying that I don't. I mean, he's a great player. I just think it's kind of backwards logic is all.
Yeah, and then they get T.J. Edwards. I think I'm on a steal of a contract. I mean, 3 years, $19.5 million.
Really underrated linebacker. Really underrated.
And this Bears team is, so you've secured the linebackers now.
Front seven's still bad.
Front seven is still, the defensive line itself.
Yeah.
It's not looking too good.
I don't know the last time I can think of a Bears team that it's been like that. It's always been defense.
Exactly, and now the offense looks more promising.
Right.
Which the DBs, I mean, the Bears have really solid DBs.
Yeah, the secondary's fine.
You have a lot of youth back there. You have Eddie Jackson. I mean, before he got injured, was having a resurgence year. Was playing absolutely incredible. And then you got Jaquan Brisker on the other side, which I love him being paired with Eddie Jackson. Jaquan Brisker, the hard-hitting safety, kind of like Adrian Amos back in 2018. And then Jalen Johnson, who is a cornerback 1 on most teams in the NFL. And then you drafted Kyler Gordon last year. He had a little bit of a rough year last year, but give him time.
Yeah,
corners.
Right, corners
a hard position to come in and just be that guy immediately. Yeah. So I like what the Bears are doing, and we still have the draft still. I mean, they got a lot of draft capital, and I think Orlando Brown is still out there in free agency. The Bears are currently in a bidding war for him with, I want to say, the Jaguars in Seattle. So however that goes, I think is where this draft goes. I think if they don't get Orlando Brown, they get a tackle. They get Orlando Brown, they go defense. I think immediately, in my eyes. Once again, I think the Bears have done a really good job this offseason.
No matter what you want to say about the Bears, they are certainly destined for a big jump up this year. They've already done a lot to improve, certainly. Moving down the board a little bit.
That came from a Packers fan.
Yeah.
From a Packers fan.
3 wins to 8 wins is a pretty big jump if they can get there. So, 8 wins. That's your max. 8 wins.
Max? That's crazy.
What do we got to talk about next?
That's crazy.
We'll get to that. That's the main event.
That's
the main event.
Yeah.
As we move down the board a little bit more, big safety class this year. Jordan Poyer back to the Bills. Jesse Bates goes to the Falcons, 4 years, $64 million. CD Deuce, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, still on the board, might go back to the Eagles. He might replace Jesse Bates on the Bengals. We'll still see what goes on there. Well, I don't know about that. But
You never know, man. You never know.
You never know. I mean,
We put the dog in him. Maybe
You
he can bring
did.
the dog back.
And I think he did enjoy playing in New Orleans.
He loved
It was just
Yeah, right. It's just
Saints weren't willing to pay him at that point. Cap issues, obviously, have been an issue. Yeah.
We gave him that money, but
and just in general, a really good DB class, not just safeties. A lot of DBs out there, some just returning home, like James Bradbury, Jamel Dean, but there's still some guys out there. Cam Sutton goes to the Lions. They've got a lot of young DBs. He's going to be a veteran that could help those young DBs.
I think that's a very underrated signing
I do
for the
too.
Lions as well, just because of how he played very, very solid for the Steelers last season. And, you're getting him on $11 million a year. That's just unbelievable.
And Jimmy Ward goes to the Texans, 2 years, $13 million. That's a steal for a veteran. Another team that could use some veterans in the locker room just in general. Of course, quarterback situations. We talked about Derek Carr. Jimmy G goes, used to be just across the state. Now goes to Las Vegas from San Francisco to the Raiders. 3 years, $67.5 million. We'll see how that goes. He's not going to have the help that he did in San Francisco. That's for sure.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You let Derek Carr walk, or Derek Carr and Jimmy G not kind of on the same level right now?
Yeah, I would take Derek Carr personally, but they're pretty similar.
Yeah, no, I would obviously take Derek Carr as well. But what did that solve?
Nothing.
What did that solve?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. And you can say he's a bridge quarterback. Why sign him to a 3-year, $67 million deal at that point? He's just a bridge guy.
No, I almost would have rather try to re-sign Jarrett Stidham and see if he's got the potential that he showed in those couple of games.
Yeah, if
With Jimmy G, you know what you're going to get. You know he's not going to be the worst quarterback ever, but they've had that for feels like 20 years. It feels like Derek Carr's been there forever, but that's how Derek Carr was. You knew he wasn't the worst quarterback ever, but he also wasn't going to go out and win a Super Bowl for
I'd have to say that Devontae Adams has not been a very happy camper as he is.
Well, that was
that was the whole reason Devontae went there.
Right.
He said, the Packers QB situation as came to fruition this year was up in the air, and he was going to go be with his college best friend, Derek Carr, and, be closer to home. And that's fine. I really couldn't blame him. I was not mad at Devontae at all as a Packers fan.
You couldn't be mad
Then
at
he
him.
goes from Derek Carr to Jarrett Stidham for 2 games to Jimmy Garoppolo. That's not great. Certainly a roller coaster of average quarterbacks when he's the best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's going to deal with that.
And he played with Aaron Rodgers for all those years, and now, we can go into it. We can go into the Rodgers talk.
If you want to.
We can go into the Rodgers talk.
You don't have much time, so you better get into it.
As a Packers fan.
Beautiful to see. I love it. Love every single second of it.
As a Packers fan, when we drafted Jordan Love, I'm Team Aaron Rodgers because it was so dumb. And I remain, as much as I am a big Jordan Love fan now, I kind of have to be. At the time, I think it was a bad decision, and Rodgers then goes and wins 2 MVPs. I was Aaron Rodgers all the way until this past season. He's kind of running out of excuses. We've got a great defense. We've got Christian Watson. Obviously, Devontae leaves, but there's just not – at some point, you can't just keep blaming the team, blaming the front office for failures. And then he goes out and he has the worst season of his career. Mm-hmm. He was banged up, sure, but it was the worst season of his career. And he just along the way, wasn't my fault. Don't have weapons, or I'm kind of banged up. I thought I played good. Just some little things didn't. He just wouldn't take responsibility.
Yeah.
And now he's just being petty. He's just 3 off seasons in a row. He's held the team hostage, not knowing whether or not they were going to have the quarterback that they had under contract. Well, am I going to retire? Am I not? 3 years in a row. And now he makes the announcement today on the Pat McAfee show, and he goes in and he just tries to change the narrative of, oh, well, I went into the darkness retreat, 90% going to retire, 10% going to come back and play. probably just not true. And you could, if you watched and you listened, the tone of his voice, he was just trying to get at the Packers, saying, "Oh, I was going to retire, but you made me do this. You made me go to the Jets." It's just not true.
Yeah.
It's just not true.
Yeah.
He's being petty.
Hopefully he can at least take some accountability in New York.
Doubt it.
I mean, he obviously couldn't do that in
Have
Green
fun.
Bay anymore, but
Have fun going to the Jets, an organization that is always mediocre. It has been for almost my entire lifetime. You're going to eat up all their cap space. You're going to still have Alan Lazard. Okay, he had him with us, and he's have fun. You're probably going to do worse, and then go and retire and come crawling back into the Packers Hall of Fame here in 6 years or whatever. Have fun. I'll love you again then, but stop being petty. Be an adult.
Honestly, I mean, that's it. He's a grown man.
He's not acting like
And
it.
he's not acting like it. I love to see it. I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, that man has run my franchise for.
And he still does own the Bears.
He does. He does.
he honestly will never not own the Bears.
He won't.
Now, hey, he's in the AFC now.
But he's not a Packer.
Give us the compensation. I want either 2 first-round picks or a first-round pick and multiple players. He's the most talented quarterback of all time. We deserve some compensation. I think we're not just.
I think you
we're not
guys
going to
deserve
take him for a
compensation too.
third-round pick and a bologna sandwich. So I don't know what the holdup is. People seem to think that's what we should do, but it's
You might.
not.
You might.
I hope not. Once again, free agency only a couple days in. It's going to keep getting crazy. A lot of moves so far still.
Darius Slay got cut today,
Yeah.
so we'll have to
Zeke
let the
got
see.
cut.
Zeke, too. There's a lot to come. And then, of course, as we look forward to next week, we've got more NFL free agency. March Madness is coming
March
up.
Madness starts tomorrow. Very
baseball
excited for that.
starting towards the end of this month, starting next month. It's a great time to be a sports fan,
Yes, it
unless you're a Packers fan.
Yes.
But it might get better when Jordan Love wins the MVP next year.
Wow, that's all right. All right.
That's
That's where the show ends, man. That's where the show ends. Cut it.
That probably won't happen, but I think he'll be good.
Derek Carr got a better shot to do that.
Not true.
Wow.
That is 100%.
Wow. Wow.
There's potential in
I mean,
Jordan Love. Derek
this is
Carr,
crazy.
is not going to win an MVP.
Mine is not a crazy take. He said Jordan Love. I said there's a better chance. There has
I
to
mean,
be a better chance.
if Derek Carr's in there, then Justin Fields is in there too.
I never said.
Let's go, man.
I never said Derek.
He's
Carr
got to
has
throw
a
more than
chance.
150 yards a game to do that.
Hey, just you wait. Just you wait.
Derek Carr has 0% chance. That's how much chances I was giving Brandon.
Okay.
So
That's what
the show is
Jordan
breaking
Love,
down,
Jordan Love.
but it's a great time to be a sports fan. So as always, for Austin Harrelson and Tyus Gordon, we'll see you next time on Sports Cube.
Hey, bear down. Make sure to bear down.